OpenAI has just released a new feature called tasks. So, on the surface, it might seem like something small. Okay, I can use ChatGPT to send me a reminder to go do something once. So, while that's kind of true on the surface, I think that most people are missing the broader applications for this new task feature. But I am going to tackle today on if it is more of a gimmicky marketing feature or if this new chat GPT tasks is something that has teeth. And is it maybe the first steps toward a more agentic AI, right? Is this the baby steps to what we're going to maybe be using when and if OpenAI releases an agentic platform? So I'm excited to talk about that. I hope you are too. So, welcome to Everyday AI. If you're new here, we do this every weekday, Monday through Friday, daily live stream podcasts and free daily newsletter, helping us all keep up with all this AI news and developments, but not just keep up, but how we can get ahead to grow our companies and to grow our careers. I want you to be the smartest person in AI at your company. So, if that's what you're trying to do in 2025, this is your new home. So please go to youreverydayai.com, sign up for our free daily newsletter written by me, a human, every single day after our podcast. Sometimes it's just me. Sometimes I interview guests. I go and recap that in our newsletter. So the best insights from the day's conversation, as well as everything else happening in the world of AI news. It is there. Also on our website, it is a free generative AI university. Go learn from hundreds of the leading experts in AI, whatever category you care about, it's all on our website. All right. So one other thing I got to plug before we get started, our 2025 AI predictions and roadmap series starting in a couple of days, January 20th. It is a 5-part series. These are bangers, y'all. I've spent a ridiculous amount of time over 2024 writing these down, going back, redeveloping them. You do not want to miss it. I'm not kidding. All right. It was one of our most popular shows last year, our AI prediction shows, and they were still holding true like a year later. You do not want to miss it. Trust me. Get your company together. Get your board members, your team, listen to them all together. All right, before we get into today's topic on ChatGPT task and why I think this is actually a little more agentic than gimmicky feature, let's start as we do always by going over the AI news. Live stream audience, got a little secret question for you. Let me know in the comments. I'll probably feature some of my favorites in our newsletter today. All right. So first, Cisco Systems is launching a new AI defense to safeguard AI applications amid rising security threats. So Cisco has unveiled a new security solution called Cisco AI Defense, designed to protect the development and deployment of artificial intelligence applications within enterprises. So Cisco AI Defense aims to provide a unified security layer across all AI applications, allowing businesses to pursue AI initiatives with enhanced confidence. The solution includes features such as AI application discovery, model validation, and runtime security, addressing the need for comprehensive security measures in the growing AI landscape. The solution is expected to be available in March and integrates with Cisco's Security Cloud using network enforcement points for AI security at the network level. Next, Apple is facing even more challenges with its rollout of quote unquote Apple Intelligence. So, according to some recent reports, Apple is facing a recent decline in iPhone sales, and it's underscoring a significant challenge as the company navigates a competitive landscape increasingly influenced by edge AI, right? All these smartphone makers are putting very powerful AI on their phones. Apple's trying to do the same, apparently not working very well because reports are showing the company's iPhone sales have dropped about 5% globally in the last quarter of the previous year, reflecting consumer hesitation amid underwhelming product upgrades. So while Apple has traditionally held a strong position in the smartphone market, it is now losing ground to competitors, particularly in China, where local brands are rapidly advancing and integrating their own AI technologies. So the absence of Apple's new AI suite, Apple Intelligence, in crucial markets. So yeah, it's not rolling out everywhere, even though where it's rolling out, I'm like, okay, big deal. I'm not going to use it too much, right? But yeah, it's not rolling out in places like China, and that has limited Apple's appeal and marketing effectiveness, especially as rival brands roll out their own AI solutions. All right. A lot on those stories and more, but the biggest story in AI, at least today, is this new update from OpenAI called Tasks. So we're going to get into it, and I'm going to talk about is this more of a gimmick, right? I think a lot of people don't even understand. I always spend a lot of time, right, before I open my big fat mouth. I spend a lot of time thinking about this, seeing what others, even at OpenAI, right, how they're marketing it, how others are reacting. So yeah, I didn't sleep a lot because number one, I didn't have a show quite ready for today, right? But I knew that there was supposed to be a release coming on Wednesday or Thursday, right? So I'm like, I'm going to keep this slot open. So stayed up late, woke up early, pushed this thing through its paces. So I'm going to show you why I think it's actually a little bit more than a marketing gimmick. And I think actually even OpenAI isn't really positioning this very well. Right. And I'll get into that a little bit more later. And I think most people are completely missing the point of ChatGPT tasks, right? One other thing, maybe this is your first time listening. I don't know. Maybe you listen twice a year. I don't know. I spend a lot of time in ChatGPT. I'll just say that. I might be embarrassed to say how much, but I spend a lot of time in ChatGPT. All right. On my phone, using all the different modes. I was counting yesterday. I think I have 5 different paid accounts, right? So I have a free account. So like yesterday, as an example, we did a ChatGPT free versus paid. So I have a free account. I have a ChatGPT plus. I have a couple Teams accounts. I have that Pro $200 a month account, enterprise account, because we help companies, when they want to onboard their team or department or entire company onto ChatGPT Teams or ChatGPT Enterprise, they hire us because this is what I do. People are getting this wrong, right? I'm looking. It's not Hot Take Tuesday, but I might come with some spicy takes anyways, if that's okay with you guys. All right. So let's talk a little bit first about the details, how this works. All right. And I'd love to know from our live stream audience. Thank you all for joining. We got Philip and Michael on Big Bogey Face on YouTube, and Madhan and Jackie and Brian here on LinkedIn, and plenty of others. So thanks for joining. But get your questions in now. I'm going to try to tackle some of your questions at the end. Podcast audience, I always keep my LinkedIn URL, my email in the show notes. So if you're listening to the podcast, check the show notes for this episode. It's all in there. All right. So let's talk exactly what this is and how it works. So it's a little confusing at first. So number one, you have to be on a paid plan. This is not on free plans, and it hasn't rolled out to enterprise plans yet. I don't know if it's going to. So you do have to be on a paid account. So even for me, weird. I told you I have 5 paid accounts. I only have this on, I think, 3 of them right now. So I'm guessing, even if you don't have access to them, don't worry. To ChatGPT tasks, it'll probably pop up pretty soon. Normally when there's something new in any model, you get like a pop-up, like a literal pop-up, and it says, hey, this is new. I didn't get one for tasks, FYI, so you might not either. But here's the way it works. So number one, you have to be on a paid plan. Number two, if you don't see it, try logging out, logging in, clearing your cache, cookies, all that good stuff, right? Or, if you're on an app, try updating it, uninstalling, reinstalling if you really, really want it. But it is a new mode. Okay, so what that means, anytime you go into ChatGPT and you click, new chat, right? You're going to have even another option now, right? So anytime you want to schedule tasks, you need to go into the GPT 4.0 with scheduled tasks mode. It's a mouthful, right? And kind of the description there, it says, ask ChatGPT to follow up later. Okay, so any task that you need to schedule, you will go there. I'm going to show you how to do this. We're going to try it live. I don't think it's going to work today live, FYI, but I do have an example we can go through because I think OpenAI is getting a little bit slammed because when it first came out, Like, I was pretty early on it. It wasn't very, trafficked, I guess. Like, it wasn't getting hit very hard. Now it's getting hit pretty hard because a lot of things aren't firing off in time, but that's normal. It is in beta. Keep that in mind. Okay. Then it's a little tricky to find these. So number one, anytime you schedule something, you do it with natural language. You do it by quote unquote chatting with ChatGPT. But the way that you find it, because you're not going to find it in the settings. So you're going to go over to the right-hand corner. If you're on desktop, as an example, you're going to go to your, not even your settings. It is the essentially the drop down when you click on your account name. So this isn't the ChatGPT settings. It's technically the account settings. So if you go into your ChatGPT settings, you're not going to find this. All right. But essentially, you will have your kind of task library once you go and click that. So for our live stream audience, showing this on my screen. So first, top left on my screen and top left on your screen, make sure you are in GPT-4o with scheduled tasks. It's its own dedicated mode. After you schedule tasks, edit them. I'll go over that. You're going to go into the task icon there. And then that is going to pop up what then is on the bottom of the screen. Okay. And that is your task that you already have. So you can have one-time tasks, you can have ongoing tasks, and it's going to show you there from there. And that is kind of the task manager, even though it's not labeled yet. It's going to say scheduled task, pause task, run task, etc. And like I said, you can go edit them there, change them, refine them, etc. Okay. And yes, you can schedule them. You can have them run every single day. You can have the same task run multiple times a day, but you can only have 10 at once, which kind of stinks. All right. I wish it was more. Here's a couple important things to know before we dive in. All right. So number one, it doesn't work with every single mode. What do I mean by that? Well, I love projects. Right? So projects is an organizational structure where you can throw all of your chats in a project, and at the project level, you can give it custom instructions and, throw some documents in there. So then all your new chats, would have access to that overarching, information. Can't use it. All right. You can't use the canvas mode, which I like. So that part was a little disappointing. Two of my favorite kind of modes or functionalities of ChatGPT in projects and canvas, you cannot use. Keep that in mind. That's important. Also, once you are using tasks, you can't be like, okay, well, now I'm going to use the O1 mode to logic and reason my way through these tasks. Can't do that either. All right. It is its own dedicated mode. GPT-4o is special variety. All right. So also, like I said, it's only available on paid plans right now. You can edit and delete tasks, but for now you have a 10 task max, which I think is crazy, especially if you're paying the $200 a month for a pro plan. I would hope that you would have, like, as an example, I don't know, 10x more the amount of tasks. So right now, even though I have a pro plan, I can only use 10. So I don't know how much I'm going to be using this right away because I'm probably going to be doing a lot of tutorials and things like this. And, it's a lot of managing, but I've already found some great use cases for it, which I'm going to share. A couple other things. It's much more than about reminders. All right. There's also, I don't know why people are saying like, oh, this is, it syncs things up with your calendars. It's not like that. All right. To use this to essentially remind you, like, go take the trash out 9 a.m. Can you do that? Yes. Right. And the other thing is, there are some customizable, notifications. So you can have a push notification if you're using the desktop app. You can have a push notification on the browser, right? If you are using it in the browser, you can have email notifications as well. So I think from a marketing standpoint, I think OpenAI maybe missed the ball a little bit, right? Here's an example. So one of the first things that OpenAI put out, as an announcement, it was this: remind me to work out every morning at 9:30 and pump me up with a motivational speech. Okay. I don't know. Not a huge fan of kind of the use cases and the marketing that OpenAI put out on this, because I think it was confusing. I think people thought of it as just like, oh, okay, well, I have reminders on my phone, right? If you have like an iPhone, I have a reminders app. I can do 2/3 of, kind of these, use cases that Apple or sorry, that OpenAI seems to be sharing, right? And people are thinking, oh, this is going to help me, sort my calendar. No, it's not. That's not what this is. It's not what this is. All right. This isn't to remind you to do things 10 times a day. You can already put things in your calendar or on the reminders app, right? If you have an iPhone, and I'm sure Android people, you have something like that too. But I think that's the majority of what people are thinking this is for. And that's what people are using it for. Even super smart people that, I follow online, and they're like, okay, well, I'm going to do this, right? No, stop that. It doesn't read your calendar. It doesn't sync anything to your calendar. And don't use it to remind you to do something. Sipping my coffee. I'm not going to say that's dumb. That is such a misuse of some of the most powerful technology that we have available. OpenAI's GPT-4o, even though the model itself is not the most powerful model in the world anymore, that crown has gone to, at least for now, Gemini, their new Gemini 2 experimental version, right? But I think it is the most fully featured front-end large language model in the world, right? Because right now with Gemini on the front end, you can't really use a lot. With ChatGPT, you can. So yes, I did say right now you can't use all of the features and functionality when you are scheduling tasks, but I think people are missing the majority of it. Okay. So it's much more than reminders. Don't use it as reminders, please. All right. Don't do some of the use cases that OpenAI and others are sharing, because does it work? Yeah. Is it cool? Sure. Is it useful? Absolutely not. Right. I mean, maybe if you had 1,000 tasks to work with, or if tasks were unlimited. Yeah. If you need a large language model to remind you to work out, sure. Right. But how about something useful? How about a business use case? Let's talk about that. All right. And also, I do think this is not a marketing gimmick, even though I don't think OpenAI did a good enough job controlling the narrative on how this can be properly used and what it should be used for. So I don't think OpenAI said the wrong thing. I just don't think they said the right thing, because now the narrative has gone off in this different direction, and people are, I think, completely missing the power of this. This is extremely powerful to have ChatGPT go do tasks autonomously on your behalf. It is a precursor to what we will probably be seeing sometime soon from OpenAI in their operator, right? It's a precursor to that. These are the individual steps that I think is going to cause an agentic OpenAI to run. So even though it's not perfect now, even though it's in beta, even though it's a little buggy, you need to be using this, because I do believe this is the foundational work and the foundational knowledge that you need to get used to be ready for when agentic AI does come from OpenAI, right? ChatGPT and OpenAI are the leaders in large language models. It's not even close. They have more users than the next 5 companies combined for front-end large language models. So you need to be using this. You need to understand this, right? This isn't some dorky thing. It's natural language scheduling actions with natural language, right? It's so powerful, yet so simple. All right. I don't know if that was actually a hot take, but I had to get that off my chest. Yeah. Samuel's saying the feature feels like a 12 days of OpenAI runner-up. Yeah. It's probably better than all but like 3 of them, if I'm being honest, right? Yes, Douglas, if you follow me on Twitter, which I'm extremely boring, yeah, there is a new operator subdomain for OpenAI. So we know it's coming out pretty soon. Denny, I like this question, said, maybe ChatGPT should have called them task agents. I think something else aside from tasks would have been fine. I would have loved the word actions, right? Because when people think of tasks, they think of reminders, right? They think of, oh, I have to do something. And then when they combine that with these notifications, people think it's a simple reminder system, but it's not. I would have called it actions, because you can schedule actions autonomously, right? You don't have to go in and do them, because you can have them work on a recurring basis. All right. And ready, here are the 2 biggest tips All right, go ahead, write these down. I'm going to try to show you an example. It's probably not going to work because it's a little slammed right now, although this was working yesterday. Go do these things. Go talk about them, right, at your next department-wide meeting. If your team uses ChatGPT, right, if your company does, you're going to be the smartest person. Steal my language. I don't care. Ready? Task stacking and context tasks. I don't know why OpenAI or no one else is talking about this, right? It's the whole point of a large language model. The way that it works iteratively. Okay, so stacking tasks, I'm going to show you an example. Schedule multiple tasks in the same chat. I'll show you what I mean by that, because then you kind of have these autonomous actions working with each other. In context tasks, what I mean with that is people aren't talking about taking advantage of the context window, right? People are just starting from scratch and saying, go do this. Well, okay. Unfortunately, right now in this new mode, you cannot upload files. Bummer, right? Because wouldn't that be great? You could upload all your files and then go have ChatGPT run these actions on a regular basis on your behalf, keeping in mind all your files. But you can copy and paste all that information before you schedule those tasks. Why is no one talking about that? This is simple, like large language model 101, y'all. Work with the context window. Put it to work for you, right? Don't just start from blank and have it remind you to fold your laundry, right? I have enough smart dryers beeping at me. Does anyone else? Is it just me? I have so many if you've been following the show, you know, I hate all my appliances and they all beep at me and now they sing at me too. And I got some new appliances because all my other ones broke. And now they're all singing at me and I don't know what I should do, right? I'm like, is that the dryer? Is the dishwasher out of detergent? Did I leave the fridge open, right? These are all things I literally struggle with on a daily basis. All right. So let's look live. All right. Full disclosure, probably not going to work very well. All right. I warned you. But here's what we're going to try to do. And the reason why this was working fine yesterday, but I've been up for a couple of hours already today. Nothing's working well, but I'm at least going to show you how to schedule these and talk through maybe a little bit of how you can use this as well. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. Live stream audience, could you all do me a favor? Could you let me know when you can see my screen? That would be helpful. All right. All right, so hopefully y'all can see it now. All right, so this is my scheduled task. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and delete some of these. All right, so again, when I go into ChatGPT, if I want to schedule a task, right now it says ChatGPT 4.0. I need to click on that, and I need to go to ChatGPT with scheduled tasks. And you'll see, depending on how big your browser is, now it just says ChatGPT tasks. So I cannot upload anything, right? So this is grayed out, but you can use, this is actually wrong because you can't use the O1 model right now because once you do, your task will no longer work. So once you start putting information into here, you can't use the O1 model. Don't worry, I already tried. You can use Dolly. I don't know why you'd want to. Dolly's not good. You can search the web. That's the biggest thing that I'm telling people. All right. And you can use standard voice mode. So you can talk to your text as well. All right. Douglas says, I can see. I am in the browser right now. Okay. It's a little bit better. For me, at least sharing my screen. So let's go ahead and try this. I have this open in a Word doc, so you don't have to see me struggle to type this. Okay, so now when you see things pasted in live stream audience, this is what's happening. So right now, my local time, it is 7:55. So I'm going to schedule this for I'm going to say 7:57. All right. And then I'm going to read this to you once the task is scheduled. So again, I'm putting in a natural language command. Okay. And one thing I'm going to do, so I just did this. It replied back to me right away. I'll read what this is, but I need to go in because unfortunately, it's going to truncate or shorten your instructions. And if your instructions are very important, you don't want to do that. So I'm going to go back in, update those. Hopefully I'm getting this in time. All right. And then I'm going to go back and do my next one. All right. Don't worry. I'm going to explain this later. But what I'm essentially doing here is I'm doing some task stacking. All right. And I don't think this is going to work because, like a busy airport on the holidays, I keep getting delayed messages. Right. So I'm going to try my next one here. So I'm going to go for 6:58 a.m. All right. I'm going to go ahead. Paste this in. Don't worry, y'all. I want to do this live, but I'm going to go in, edit this next task, right? And on the scheduling, I'll show you how all this works. I wanted to get this going first to see if we could get this to actually work. All right. And then on my last task here, let me paste this in. I'm going to do 7:59 a.m. All right. So I'm talking with ChatGPT. It's creating my task. I don't like that it shortens it because I'm being specific for a reason, ChatGPT. All right. So now let me go ahead and read these. And if it works, which again, this is working fine yesterday, not working today because there's a lot of delays. This is in beta, right? And their servers are getting slammed because everyone's like, oh, I need to be reminded to take out the laundry. All right, so here's what I'm doing. So I'm going to read my 3 different prompts that I just put in, and ChatGPT tasks turns those into tasks. So there's no you don't start with a task manager. So it's a little confusing because you just have to put your prompt in natural language and tell this mode, you have to be in that mode, okay, to make a task. So I'm going to read them. There's 3 of them. We'll see if it actually works. Probably not. But I'll show you an example of when it does work. Okay. So I'm saying, find the latest marketing news for today. Do not tell me trends or speak in generalities. Only focus on pinpoint specific updates on news, industry updates, and actual news happening regarding the marketing industry. Call these top 10 marketing news when replying back. Reply back with 10 bullet points of the biggest marketing related news stories. Be extremely specific, yet do not waste words. Please research at least 10 different websites with ChatGPT search and or browse with Bing. Please do this every day at 7:57 a.m. All right. So now I can go in here and you can right click on any task, because when you do that, ChatGPT doesn't go out and go complete that action, right? It just makes a task. So then I can click on the little 3 buttons there and I can edit the task, I can pause the task, or I can view all tasks. So let's go to edit. And this is what the editing view. So I wish that there was a new task button and would just bring this up, because I think people are going to get confused, right? But that's fine. So it gives your task a name by default. It gives it instructions. So as you kind of saw or heard, it made my instructions much shorter, which, yo, ChatGPT, I know what I'm doing, homie. All right. Don't make my task instructions shorter because it's going to leave out some important details, which you might really need. All right. So essentially, it gives your task a name, instructions, and then depending on what you tell it to do, it's going to schedule it already, which is really cool. So at any time, you can go in and rename your task. You can update the instructions if something's not working correctly. And then the schedule, there's a drop-down schedule. So you can do doesn't repeat, daily, weekly, monthly, annually, or custom. All right. You can change the time, you can pause, delete it, etc. Also, at that same time, you can click any task within your chat and go to view all tasks. All right. So there's all of my tasks that I have. I have to keep deleting them because you can only have 10 at a time. All right. So now let's go back and you'll see already it says delayed. It says they're all delayed. So that's a bummer. I figured this might happen, but let me talk about the concept of what we're doing here. So this is an example of text stacking. What do I mean by that? You have, like I said, baby steps of agentic AI out there for you right now. Okay. Don't think of these as one-off calendar reminders. Stop doing that. Think of them, each task, as baby agents that can go out, perform actions on your behalf, right? It can search the web, it can work with the context that you give it, and then it can come back and report to itself. That's the thing. You do not have to be the one orchestrating all of these agents to work together. One other important thing I should mention about tasks: they live in the chat in which they were created. That's important. Let me repeat that. Any task that you make, it lives in the chat in which it was created. All right. So, as an example, if I delete this chat, the tasks are gone. So, you might think of that as a bug. Sure. I think of it as a feature. And hopefully, tasks in the future will be more like GPTs and you can pull on them and use them anywhere. But if you are smart with how you set up your chats, which if you've ever taken our, free prime prompt polish course, you are. I'm sorry, y'all. I haven't done those in a couple of weeks. I know a lot of you are reaching out. I'll explain why at some point here. I haven't been able to do them recently. Okay. But we will have it back on. Don't worry. But you have to be smart with how you set up your chats and your tasks there within. Because if you do this correctly, and if in this case, right, I just set up 3 different tasks all in the same chat. I didn't go into a new chat each time because I want these little mini agents to go out, perform an action, come back and report. So, in this example, task 1 is doing something and it's putting it in the context window. And if it was working correctly, task 2 would pull that context for its own task, right? So at that point, instead of it going human task 1, human task 2, human task 3, instead it's human task 1, task 2, task 3, human. So human is still in the loop, but instead of me inserting myself in between each of these tasks, I'm essentially telling through some, I won't say impressive prompt engineering, but through some smart prompting for the chat to use the context window. And I know you're probably saying, oh, Jordan, it doesn't work. It works. It's just delayed right now. So I went in and refreshed it. Some of these aren't working. Some of them are. So yeah, this one's really not gonna do very well here. So let me tell you what the task 2 and task 3 were. So the first one, I'm essentially saying, yo, at 7:57, go find all the marketing news. And then I should have spaced this out a little bit, but I'm trying to jam it all into a live stream, but I'll show you a working example. And then I say every day at 7:58 a.m., please look at the context of this chat and choose 3 of the above stories from top 10 marketing news, right? Because I told task 1, I said, label it as such. So then I can tell task 2 to go look at that. So I'm saying, go look at the top 10 marketing news that are most relevant to the Everyday AI show by Jordan Wilson. So it's also supposed to be using ChatGPT search. But in other chats, I've already given it all this context. Then I'm saying use ChatGPT search to find information from 2025. Don't leave ChatGPT search up to its own devices. It's going to pull in old stuff that's not relevant. Always be pinpoint specific. So then I'm saying use ChatGPT search to find information from 2025 for each of those 3 stories above. So I'm saying out of the 10, that task 1, go pick 3 that are most relevant to me. So I'm giving it autonomy. I'm giving it agency. And I'm saying, hey, go see what this other task did, this other mini agent. I want you to use what it brought you, and I want you to build off of it. And then I'm giving it a more task. I'm saying, give me a very simple yet actionable bullet point tip or trick on how to put those stories into action to grow my business. Be extremely specific, avoid generalities. Then I'm saying, call these 3 actionable steps when replying back. Obviously, our first chat or task was delayed. So this chain reaction didn't work very well. And then the last task, I'm saying every day at 7:59, please look at the actionable steps and see what other companies in 2025 have implemented something similar, or find additional resources that can help me implement these strategies for Everyday AI. Again, be pinpoint specific. So do you see what I'm doing here, y'all? This one is an example of task stacking. All right. I am starting to build within ChatGPT, which, like I said, I think GPT 4.0 is the most powerful model in the world right now because of its other functions and capabilities on the front end, right? Not on the back end. If you want to go into Google's AI Studio, yeah, Google Gemini, their new 2.0 experimental, technically better. But on the front end chat, this is better. All right. So this one didn't work. This one didn't work, right? Because the first task was delayed. So therefore, the second and the third task couldn't pull the context. But I said before I did this, I'm like, I know it's going to be delayed, but it was working for me last night, and it probably will start working for me probably in like 2 to 3 days. So think of what you can do already. Think of all those repetitive tasks that you do, right? I need you to break down and reverse engineer your buckets of work. What are those things you do every single day? I know this is weird. I recommend people use like a task manager, right? That literally just looks at everything you do. I know it's creepy big brother, right? But then if you do that for a week or two, you can export all that data. You can throw it into something like ChatGPT o1 and then have it start building these reverse flows for you where you can then go set out, all of these little task agents. And again, this is the worst it's ever going to be. And again, I think OpenAI really missed the ball in terms of talking about the capabilities. All right, let me quickly show you, hopefully, an example of when this worked. All right, here we go. So in this example, I'm doing some context. All right, context tasks. So before I gave ChatGPT its tasks, here's what I did. I literally said, do not create a task yet. Instead, just find these trends in the data. All right. So I gave it all of my, let me switch this here. I gave it all of my episodes. We have, how many episodes do we have? 300, 400? My gosh. 437 episodes. All right. I gave it all my episodes, downloads, dates, all of that stuff for my podcast. I said, do not create a task yet. Instead, just find trends in this data. So you can still use this mode of ChatGPT to chat with. Just say, like, don't create a task, homie. So then after this, ChatGPT went, it found some, patterns and, in my data, blah, blah, blah. Then I said, here's some more information about me, essentially, right? Generally, I don't use custom instructions, not smart. I don't use ChatGPT memory, not smart. I use projects, smart, right? Because then you can have custom instructions for certain chats that aren't applied unilaterally to everything that you do inside of ChatGPT. But because I can't use projects with this new ChatGPT task, I do have to, unfortunately, manually feed some of this context in there so it knows what I'm doing. But you need to be context tasking, right? So I'm saying now, I gave you all this information, all these data and trends about everyday AI and what I'm working on. And then I gave it some more information about the ChatGPT show, the Everyday AI podcast. And I actually, just to be quick, I just use deep research. I'm like, I don't want to type this all or copy and paste it from my website. All right. So I pasted it in there. Then after all of that, I had it analyze everything. Then I said, every day at 6:52 a.m., please use ChatGPT search to deeply research the latest in AI news for today. It's for the Everyday AI show, so please keep in mind all of the info in this chat's context window to better understand the types of topics covered. For today's AI news, please do not tell me trends or speak in generalities. Only focus on pinpoint specific updates on newest AI features, model updates, and actual news stories that are gaining traction in the AI industry. Reply back with 10 bullet points of the biggest AI news stories. Be extremely specific, yet do not waste words. The bullet points should be factual and succinct. Please research at least 10 different websites with ChatGPT search and or browse with Bing. Please do this every day at 6:52. And then it created that task. It didn't, it truncated it. It made it smaller and shorter. So I had to go in there and edit it because that's the other thing too, right? ChatGPT right now, this is beta. I wish it wouldn't even, try to modify your task instructions, but I get some people aren't going to do a very good job and it will actually improve it. For people like me, like I know what I'm doing. So now I have to go in and manually change the task instructions each time. But then you'll see it said, got it. I'll get back to you with the latest news. at 6:52 each morning. And then this morning, it was working a little better, a little earlier. And then it gave me 10 AI news stories that are just from today. These aren't necessarily old, and it's based on the topics that we already cover. So I gave it context. All right. So I hope this is helpful. And let me see. What questions do you all have? All right. I'm gonna quickly wrap this show up. I said I would answer questions. It's sometimes hard, if I'm being honest, doing this on the live stream to look at questions. I wish y'all could like mark it as question, because otherwise I have to go through and do this. Yeah, Samuel says on weekdays at 7:28 a.m. remind me to watch Jordan live. Love that. Thank you. Big Bogey. Yes. So he's saying this is kind of if this, then that. So yeah, there's a very popular, and that's how I'm testing it as well. Doing some conditional logic, right? Like, hey, task, go look up this. If this, then do this. If that, then do that. Like an easy example that I was testing out, and it worked fairly well. You know, I gave it 10 different stocks every morning. Go check the price of. For each one, I said, if it's over this price point, tell me why. If it's under this price point, tell me why. Do research, give me 5 bullet points, right? But, you know, pretty wide ranges. So if any, you know, as an example, if NVIDIA's stock pops or drops, or if Apple's pops or drops, or Google's, right? I just want to know. I don't want to have to monitor those things, right? But if it's just, you know, if it's up or, you know, if it's up or down, you know, 1 or 2%, I don't care as much, right? But if there's something big that's happening, right? If NVIDIA shoots up 5%, or if Apple shoots down 3%, I mean, we're talking tens of billions or hundreds of billions of dollars shifting, right? And that's probably going to impact how we all work, or it may, right? So yeah, that's another good example of how you can think of this, is think of these as conditional logic flows, or if this, then that flows. Because think of what you do every day. This is what you do in your own brain, right? You're researching things for your company and, you know, your competitors, and you're saying, oh, well, if they, you know, if they launch a new project, right? If they update their services, right? Then I need to do this. Okay, well, see how you can start building that into ChatGPT tasks. They're not great right now, but you got to take these baby steps along with the technology. So when it's running, you can keep up. Because if you don't crawl when OpenAI and ChatGPT is crawling, you're going to get left behind when everyone else has the capabilities to run. That's what we do every single day. We help you keep up with the technology where it's at, because it's not perfect right now. All right. Hopefully I didn't miss any questions. If I did, I'll go back. Oh, great question from YouTube, 1A Lee. Can you use GPTs within the tasks? So yes and no. I've gotten it to work twice. I don't know if that was a bug. I don't think it's supposed to work, but I got it to work twice. But I'll say right now, no. In the future, maybe it will. I would love for it to work with GPTs, with projects, with Canvas. Right now, it doesn't. With O1, you know, the reasoning model. Right now, it doesn't. All right. All right. Let's see. Is this how you, Jordan, will be planning your Monday shows? Yes and no, right? I already do these things a lot. I've already built a lot of these type of flows. So yeah, I will be using it. I won't be using it exclusively, right? But for the most part, yeah, like on Mondays, I do the, you know, AI news that matters, but I use Perplexity. I use ChatGPT search. I use Google Gemini, deep research a little bit, right? But yeah, I will definitely, and I have already set up some task flows that I'm going to be using on a daily basis. Yeah, so Douglas also asking, can you use an @ to tag a GPT in a task? I tried. So the problem is when you do that, it's a little different in task mode. Let's see. Should I try to do this? I'll try to do it. I'll just show you all an example since multiple people are asking. So I'm going to go into ChatGPT task mode. All right. And I'm going to say, you know, at, you know, 8:17 a.m. every day, use, and then I'm going to put the at. I'm going to say use this to recap an episode, right? All right. So all I did was @ mention a GPT, but I'm trying to use tasks, and you'll see it doesn't technically work Yeah. So when I try to do it, the GPT takes over from the task mode, but I have gotten it to work. So I did an example. I have a custom GPT, and it's getting confused, right? So the task generating ability of this mode is getting confused because the GPT is taking over. But I did get it to work once, but it took a while, and it's not working consistently. So I'll just say right now, no, not consistently. You can't use GPTs. Once you can, that's going to be extremely fun. All right. So I hope this was helpful, y'all. As a reminder, Monday, be there, be there, be there. All right. Next week, in a couple of days, we are doing our 2025 AI predictions and roadmap series. I'm lucky enough each year to talk to hundreds with an S. So both interviews I do live on the Everyday AI show, companies that I meet with. A lot of people just want to, quote unquote, pick my brain, right, from big companies. I gobble up all this information and I steal it from the smartest people in the world. And I have a couple files that I store all this information. And then I have all my, AI tools help me, make sense of all my predictions and my thoughts. But this is a long time in the works. You are not going to want to miss our 5-part series starting January 20th. Not just random hot take predictions, but laying out the roadmap for you to take advantage of what I know. I'm projecting, I got a little spicier this year than last year. So I'm going to say I'm going to be about 85% right. I think last year in my 24 predictions, I think 21 of them were technically right. And the other ones were like maybe a little too ambiguous, right? But you do not want to miss starting January 20th, 5-part series. So please go join us then. Also, if this show was helpful, please click that repost. So I actually have 10 business use cases that I already built out for kind of this task stacking. I knew I wouldn't have enough time to go over them today, and our newsletter's already long enough. All right, so I already have it made, so you're not going to have to wait. Like sometimes I make you wait like a week. I'm like, oh, go repost this, and I'll give you this. And I'm like, oh, frick, I didn't finish it. All right, this is done. So if this was helpful, please. On LinkedIn, go click that repost button. So if you're still listening on the podcast, thank you. Appreciate your support. If you want to see the 10 business use cases that we already built out, got them ready to go, just click the show notes for this. I always put a link to the LinkedIn stream for this. So go find that. Go click the repost. I'll send you 10 business use cases that take advantage of this tech stacking concept. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Please go to youreverydayai.com and please join us tomorrow and every day for more Everyday AI. Thanks, y'all.